Hey there all you freaks and geeks, it's your resident pink-haired maid... Wait, let me try that again. Hey there all you freaks and geeks, it's your resident... Wait.
Shit, my hair isn't pink anymore. I've lost my identity. Oh shit, I can't think of a new name. Everyone will think I'm lame as hell. But I already am lame as hell. Oh shit, you're taking too long. Think of something quick. Maniacal maniac? Fuck no. What is my life? I have no life now. Who am I? Shit. I need to think of something. Oh man, what do I do?
Obviously, it's been a while since my hair has been pink, so I guess we'll have to figure something out about that. But we'll save the rest of the existential crisis for later. So recently I've been working on a new cosplay. It's no secret of who I'm going to be. It's Jack Frost. But the problem with that is there's no real correct color of sweatshirts on the market for Jack Frost. So that means that I have to make my own. Unfortunately, I don't really have the time to make a sweatshirt. So instead I went out and bought a sweatshirt and dyed it from home. And a lot of people don't really know how to do that, I found out. So I decided that I'm going to make a dye tutorial video. And here to help me today is the past version of myself. I swear to God I must have refilmed this 50 times by now, but this is me from back in November.
Okay, first let's get rid of that sweatshirt. You'll want to get rid of all long sleeves just in case you get dye on them, so the undershirt has to go too. It's best to use an old tank top.
Oh my god, it's freezing!
You won't be freezing for long. You'll be working over hot water, which means you'll probably end up sweating like a pig. Which reminds me, let's do something about your hands. There we go. Rubber gloves are best for dye projects because they're resistant to heat and completely resistant to dye. You don't want to stain your hands with whatever dye you're using, so rubber gloves are your best bet. If you really like the tank top you're wearing, it's better to wear something like maybe an apron to cover it, but probably backwards. Perfect. Now let's get rid of your hat.
But I like my hat!
Too fucking bad, kid. You want your hair out of your face when you work.
Now you're just being a dick.
Jeez, fine, bitch. Like this better?
You know what? This is fine. I can deal with this. Whatever.
You sure about that? Well, okay then. Let's move on. Take it away, Skippy.
Oh, there's a few things you'll want before you actually start doing this project. Your canvas, your dye. Today is aquamarine. I usually stick to liquid dye because I can keep using it and it doesn't get into my nose. Next, what you'll need is a wooden spoon, preferably this long. It doesn't have to be wooden. I usually stick to wood because it's hot water that I'm dealing with and I'd rather not burn my hands. Your steel pot to soak my sweater here. If you're doing a small project, like maybe just a couple handkerchiefs or something, and you don't want to use a huge sink, I would usually go with the pot because they're smaller and it uses up less water. Now the problem with this is that you still need a second pot to put those little handkerchiefs in so they can soak afterwards. And I say soak afterwards because you're gonna have to do that. And of course, like any good demon hunter, you're gonna want to need salt to get rid of those demonic stains and shit. Yeah, that's the reason. So today I've chosen to use my family steel sink in our laundry room. But before we do that, we have to clear up the space a little bit so I don't get dye on everything. A big steel sink like this is ideal when working with dye projects, especially big ones, because you never know how much water you're gonna need until you fully submerge it. And that's the big thing when it comes to big projects like a sweater or like dress or a skirt or a train or something. No, I don't mean trains as in like actual choo-choo trains. Yeah, I said choo-choo trains, fuck you. I mean like trains on a dress.
The first thing you want to do is get the water as hot as you possibly can. This is both for the dye bath and for prepping the fabric. You're going to be soaking your fabric in the steel pot beforehand so the fibers can relax and absorb the dye better. Once it's at a suitable heat, fill up the pot and soak the fabric in it. But remember that you're going to be preparing the dye bath in the sink while your fabric soaks, so set it aside for now. When soaking your fabric in the hot water, make sure you get as much air out as possible so the fibers can relax. This also means that it has to be fully submerged. Once that's done, you can start your dye bath. First, take your salt and spread a decent layer over the surface of your sink there. As soon as you're finished laying down that demon repellent, start singing Build Me Up Buttercup as the boiling hot water begins to fill the sink. As the magma starts filling up your buttercup, take your dye and pour in as much or as little as you want. It could be a little, it could be a lot, it really depends on what you want to do, so I don't really give two shits. Harnessing the powers of darkness, put your cauldron mixing to use by making sure everything has diluted into one solid color. You could pretend you're strangling your enemies while you wring out your fabric to be put into the dye bath. Quickly dip your fabric into the dye bath and squeeze as you do so, making sure that the dye can be absorbed into the fibers before you begin to stir it. Remember that you will need cold water in the pot for when you're ready to soak it again, so what I did was put the water outside and waited. Since it was sub-zero temperatures, I didn't have to wait long. Set the timer for what you need and begin countdown. The time all depends on you for how dark or light you want it, so 40 minutes is what I did. Start stirring your fabric and continue to do so until the timer stops. I know this is a really long time, so you're gonna have to figure out a way to entertain yourself like I did.
Just whistle while you work. You're gonna want to make sure you press down every so often so that the spaces with air can release and then suck them back in, if that makes any sense. There's a term for it, but I can't remember it, so gotta work out more. A good thing to remember that while you're dyeing your fabric, it's gonna end up 2 shades darker than what you want it to be. See, I want it this color, which means that I have to put it in for longer because it's supposed to be 2 shades darker to what I want it to be. 20 minutes!
Okay, now that your time is up, go get your ice water from wherever you put it, and I hope you did before you started because now you're gonna pull the plug on the dye bath. Squeeze any dye out and quickly put it into the cold ass water to shock it into submission. Make sure you continue to squeeze before putting it completely into the water so you don't get any excess dye in your cold water.
After you put your project in cold water, let it sit for about 15 minutes. During that time, you can probably clean up or something, but in the meantime, I'm gonna prep the washing process.
After about 15 minutes of soaking in the cold water, drain the water into the sink, squeeze the fabric to get as much of the excess dye out, and rinse it, still using cold water. The cold water is really important to shocking the fibers into locking the color in. Warm water will only release the color and erase your hard work, which is why we soaked it right afterwards. Continue to squeeze until the water runs clear. When all the dye is gone, put it in the wash and, using very little soap, put it on the lowest setting or whatever the fuck it says on the bottle. Great, now let's clean this shit up. Rinse your sink with hot water and probably use some bleach. Bleach usually gets the job done. Wipe down as much as you can and make sure all the color is gone, and I do mean all of it. Otherwise, you know, it'll stain your sink and that's not cool. Fuck yeah, your fabric's done. Let's put it in the dryer. Since it's going to be by itself, put some towels with it to make the load heavier. That way the color won't white out as much as it could by itself.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you correctly dye a sweatshirt. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope everybody learned something from this. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Let me know what you'd like to see next, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to keep your eyes out for my Surviving Conventions video. I'll have it up as soon as I get it, and I really don't know when I'm gonna get it. As far as I know, it'll be within the next weekend or so. Luckily, I won't have to edit it. It will already be edited, so once I get it, I will upload it, and you will have it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Adios.
See you put it in.